Let's talk about what just happened. So, obviously, we were on our way out to our fly-in San Martin, right?
Yeah.
We didn't make it. When we were probably about 10 miles from Livermore, right before we crossed over the small mountain range, the Vaqueros Reservoir, the engine started to stumble really bad. Big loss of power, 500-600 RPMs. And so we'll kind of we'll describe what happened first, and then we'll kind of go back and talk through what we discovered. So we're on flight following, as we are now. That's how we fly. And so we didn't declare an emergency, but we did notify them, hey, we are having some trouble. We're having engine trouble. We're losing power intermittently. And we immediately turned away from the hills back over the flat land we had, highways, fields. And then we knew where a couple airports were.
Over 2 Delta Kilo, contact approach 125.25.
5.25 for 2 Delta Kilo, thank you. They should give us that same one.
November 263, contact approach 125.25.
25.25, thanks for the help, 50263. NorCal approach, Cessna 5026 tree, 6,500.
Number 50263, NorCal approach, Sacramento International, altimeter 29er89er.
29er, 89er, 50263. Okay. So we made our turn away. Holding altitude as best I could with the power reduction. I didn't want to give up any altitude yet until I had to. So called NorCal, told them, hey, I'm having this intermittent power loss. I need to turn back. And as the power loss got worse, they told me I had Byron Airport, right?
Yes.
4 miles away. Okay, I'm unfamiliar with Byron. I'd never been there. I knew it was there, but it wasn't in my scope. So had 4 flight running very quickly, easily was able to identify the airport. NorCal gave me the weather. They called in there and got the weather for me and kept me on until I had the runway made. Switched me over to the common frequency. I made the call, and then I got my buddy Tony is following me in his Skylane, making sure that I stay close to airports here on the way home. So so we had the runway made. We made it with no further power loss, and got on the runway. Engine was still running. We're able to taxi, park the plane. So, first thing you think of, right? This is a 150. So first thing we assume is carburetor ice. We've talked about that before. And so what I like to do before I fly over any kind of terrain, like reservoirs or hills, and even if it's low terrain, if I don't have a really good place for an emergency landing, I will preemptively use the carburetor heat just to make sure I'm not building any ice as I go over that terrain. So I had the carburetor heat on for maybe 2.5 minutes before, and I'm at 3,500 feet. It's a warm day, but not density altitude was still below 1,000 feet at sea level, so nothing crazy. So I make a bunch of people on the field at Byron. By the way, amazing airport. The people there, fantastic. I had several people come to help, come check me out while I was taking my cowling off to look and make sure I didn't have anything blocking my carburetor or the air intake. And a couple guys made a few phone calls to some A&Ps, and we did some troubleshooting over the phone. And the best scenario we came up with was that because I was running my carburetor heat at an altitude where I'm not typically leaning, I most likely fouled a spark plug. And then the rapid shift back to the leaner air when I closed the carburetor heat was what caused that big stumble. And me doing my normal carb ice procedures of pulling the carb heat back on, trying to do anything I can to kind of heat the engine up. I pulled a little bit of power back, I leaned a little bit trying to get everything warmer. But I basically just had to wait out that fouled spark plug running the leaner mixture, but I wasn't thinking about that. So yeah, we made the turn and the descent and the approach and everything back to Byron. perfectly fine, right? No issues. And did a couple of run-ups. So I did 2 static standard 1700 RPM run-ups, and then a full power, like full throttle balls to the wall run-up, and then did 2 high-speed taxis, took it right up to rotation speed, killed the power, taxied all the way back, checked my leaning, did that twice, and now we're on the way home at 6,500 feet after doing a climb, circling climb above the runway to get as much altitude as possible, because altitude is your friend when you're in a tiny, slow plane. So the best way I'm thinking of it to myself is that my mistake was allowing the mixture to run far too rich for too long. I caused my engine roughness. Luckily the training for identifying a landing spot, getting the plane turned around, like all that, I'm really happy with the way I performed. I have my wife in the plane with me. We have 2 small children. So, ideally, no matter what happens, us walking away, I'm joking, I'm talking about it. Us walking away is the most important thing. So, we succeeded in that today. So now that I've kind of laid out the scenario, do you want to, talk about what you saw, experienced, your side of the, your version of the story?
Well, I was turning around looking this way, monitoring traffic that was following up behind us, and I was keeping my eye on that. Felt a vibration of the plane, and then you saying, "Oh, that's not good," and then me just silently sitting here and hoping that everything worked out for the best. It did.
So, what were you kind of thinking, what were you seeing as we were hearing? Because, you can hear all that traffic, and I know you don't know the lingo. You're not, this isn't, you don't spend a lot of time in the air, but, what was that? Because we were in an almost emergency situation. We didn't lose the engine, but that risk was very, very real. That was the kind of scenario that leads to an engine loss, which I know you're not very aware of, but on the way in, kind of what was going through your head? I know it's the cliche question that they always ask people after some kind of emergency. Oh, what were you thinking at the time?
Honestly, I was just letting you do your thing and hoping, once, when you turned around, I initially thought, all right, we're going to be landing in a field somewhere and someone's going to have to come pick us up. But it was less than 30 seconds before we heard that there was an airport 4 miles away. So the second that you started, I could see the airport, you turned us there. I knew that you would be able to get us there. It's just, how are we going to get home after that?
Yeah, luckily, I'll tell you, the aviation community is fantastic. Big shout out to my buddy Tony, who we were supposed to meet at the fly-in San Martin. I called in to let him know we weren't going to make it. His first thought was, hey, I can come pick you guys up. But we had some good troubleshooting going. We had some good help at the field, and so I tell you, you go on ahead. I figured we're not that far. It's about maybe a 2-hour drive. We could rent a car, have someone come pick us up. But Tony, God bless him, and he left when he left the fly-in. He came back and met up with us over Byron, and kind of flew with us. Stuck with us for about 20 minutes there just to make sure we got up to altitude and we're moving.
NorCal Skyline 182 Delta Kilo, beginning my descent for McClellan.
Number 2 Delta Kilo, roger.
So you just heard Tony making his call to NorCal, telling him he's going to McClellan. He got way the hell out of us once he bugged out. Turbo Skylane versus 150. Pretty big speed gap there. But, Tony and I, we actually met online. We went to the same flight school, so we just kind of found each other, decided to start hanging out and flying together, and you make the best friends in aviation.
Number 50263, contact approach 127.4.
Over to 274, 50263. Thank you.
Number 50263, NorCal approach, advise by any altitude changes.
Wilco, 50263. Tony and I, we went to the same flight school, found each other. Started hanging out, but Tony and I, we've only known each other for I don't know, 6 months maybe. And, you know, here he is, like, flying his plane out here, ready to rescue me at a moment's notice. So, you know, it's a good community, really helpful, small group of us, and we stick together, so real appreciative of that. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see what I ended up doing when I was at Byron. So it's one of those, sometimes a bad case scenario turns into something really cool. Had a very neat experience today. So
Charlie altitude to your discretion now.
Go over there and to my Instagram and check that out. So if you follow me on Instagram, go over there, you'll check it out, see it in my story, I'll put up a post. You know, I wish I'd gotten to the flying today. It would have been nice. I missed it last year because I had a sinus infection, and I missed it this year because my plane had a sinus infection. So, you know, it is what it is. We'll try again next year, third weekend in May, the food truck flying at San Martin. Yeah, 365 days. We'll count them down. See you there.